Welcome back to part 2 of the B8 Audi S4 brake refresh. This time the front brakes are getting a huge upgrade. And instead of sticking with the factory setup, I picked up a set of Audi Q5 calipers, which are the same 4-piston Brembos used on the Porsche Macan. I got lucky and grabbed both calipers off of eBay for $124 shipped, and with new rotors, pads, stainless steel brake lines, and all the paint that I used, the total cost for the whole brake upgrade came in under $600. If you've been thinking about a budget-friendly plug-and-play big brake upgrade for your B8 platform, this setup is proof that you can do it without spending thousands. Now let's get into it. Here are the Macan brakes. I painted these weeks ago actually, and I've just been waiting on time to swap them in. So right now I'm just putting everything back together, putting the brake lines and the bleeder valves on, and then I'm also upgrading to StopTech's stainless steel brake lines, at least just for the front. Now, a lot of people recommend installing these onto the calipers before you toss them onto the car. That way you don't have brake fluid leaking onto your calipers, especially if you've painted them and you don't want them to ruin the paint. So that's what I'm doing now. And once I get all the hardware onto the calipers, then I'm gonna move into removing the front ones and then stepping these bad boys on. Okay, so first things first, you get the wheel off, obviously. Then if your car comes with it, you have to get the little rotor set screw out. This one's kind of stripped. I believe it is a T40. After that, depending on what you're doing, if you're just replacing pads and rotors and keeping the stock ones out, you'll have to undo the caliper from the caliper carrier, and that's 2 13s. Once you remove them, you get this rattle clip off and use a little screwdriver to push the pads in. That way you can pull the brake caliper off, and then you remove the caliper carrier, and that's 2 21mm bolts, and they're on there pretty tight. Torque specs for those are, I believe, 140 foot-pounds. But if you're replacing the whole caliper, you don't have to undo these. All you gotta do is remove the rattle clip. That way you can pry the brake pads apart, and then just undo those 21s. All right, so I got the 21mm bolts out. Well, got the bottom one out and then the top one somewhat out, holding the caliper in place. I'm going to remove the brake line. That way I can just pull it out in one shot. And for that, you need a 11mm bolt. And the good thing about the StopTech brake line kit is that it comes with this little rubber stopper that once you undo the line, you just pop this in to, kind of mitigate the amount of brake fluid you lose, so you don't have a big ass mess. So I'm going to take care of that now, then I'll be able to remove the whole caliper. All right, so it's an 11mm little nut that's holding the brake line in place, and now I just have to remove it. Doesn't give me problems. Stock caliper is out. One thing that I forgot to mention is that the brake pad wear sensor, it's this little wire here, you have to undo that to be able to get it out. So it goes in like this into this bracket. There's a little hole up here. This tab goes into that hole, so you have to pry it out of that little hole, and then you twist the sensor, and then it comes out. But it's connected to this pigtail, so you have to undo the pigtail as well. But all of that is out. Had to drill out the screw here. Everything on this car is rusted in place, so it makes shit hard to work on. But I got that out, and I just gotta knock the rotor out and toss a new one in. Now, I forgot to mention that because these calipers are plug and play, you don't have to get different size rotors. You can get the same size stock rotors, which are 345 millimeters, and it works out great because then you don't have to add additional weight by going to a larger size. All right, so the stock calipers are out, and let me put it next to the Porsche ones. So they are considerably larger, the Porsche ones at least. But then the interesting thing is that even without the caliper carrier mounted onto it, the OEM S4 calipers are a lot heavier than the Porsche calipers. All right, here's the new caliper. Then we'll slide it back into place, and then torque down the 21s to 140 foot-pounds. I'm about to slap the pads in, but one thing that didn't come with the kit and came with the anti-rattle clip, but I'm using the old pins because they're still in good shape. But one thing that didn't come with is a brake pad sensor wire. And a lot of people, what they do is once they replace them, they just get the little pigtail from the back, you know, snip it somewhere, and then just cross the two wires together. But one thing that I saw on another YouTube channel is that you can remove the pad sensor or the wear sensor, and you just pull it out. There's a little like metal clip inside that you'll have to pry out, but then you can just clip it into the new pad. It has a little notch there for it. I believe it goes this way, bam, like that. So basically what happens is once your pads are thin, the rotor will break the line, break the wire here, and then you won't have conductivity throughout the wire, and then it will trigger the light. So there's another option to just the normal, you know, cutting the pigtail and crossing the wires. You can reuse it if you have it. So now that the rotor and the caliper are in place, it's time to put in the new pads. This one, they just slide in basically. Bam. It slid in a little too much actually. And then I'll put the hardware and that wear pad sensor into this little notch here, and then the wire comes out through this notch here. Your hardware is ready to go in. You put your little anti-rattle clip somewhere in there. The pin goes through, but not all the way. It goes through there, into the other hole. You can't see it through there. It's in there. Now you do have to hit it with a little hammer. So that's what I got here. I got this little hammer, and I'm going to be using the caliper bolt from the passenger side. I'm just gonna put it right on the head of that pin, and I'm just gonna hammer it in until it stops. It'll bottom out in here. And then once you have that, you have to put tension on it to be able to get the other one in. Alright, so that's all good to go now. And we're gonna put this little sensor wire in. It just clips into place, bam, like that. So it's in there. Once the pad wears out to fucking a little past halfway, that's when it'll start rubbing on the strip, and eventually it'll cut the strip, and then you have no continuity going through it, and it'll throw in your low pad light up on the dash. Alright, and now I can show you how this little clip goes in. When you're looking at the pigtail, you got a flat edge at the bottom and then a round at the top. So the round part goes in, and then you just twist it into place, and bam, it's locked in. Then you get the other end of the pigtail, and then it's connected. Now I have to put the stainless steel brake line rubber grommet into the holder here, and then I can connect it to the stock heart line. Now when you go to install the stainless steel line, they'll go in through the hole, and there's this clip or a little spring that here that goes it goes in between the OEM brake line, the nut here, and this bracket. All right, so just finished up. This wasn't like a comprehensive DIY with, you know, you guys or me showcasing every step, because I'm filming it with an iPhone and I need both my hands to work on this shit. So caliper is in though, stainless steel brake line is in, everything's good to go. The only thing that I need to do now is bleed the brakes, and these Porsche calipers have two bleed nipples, one on the outside, one on the inside of the caliper. I'm going to be replacing the fluid with LIQUI MOLY DOT4 fluid. They didn't have it at AutoZone, which they usually do, so I'm going to have to order it off of Amazon. That wraps up the brake upgrade on the S4. If you're planning on doing this swap yourself, I've listed caliper part numbers along with links to the tools, paint, and other parts used down in the description. Like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.